apologize. I'm getting over sickness, so I don't sound or look the best, but because we had such a beautiful, nice, cozy winter snow, I decided I wanted to make a sausage, potato, vegetable soup tonight, and I was actually going to try to make bread bowls for the soup to go in. So I'm going to be making 1 loaf for the bread bowls and then 1 loaf of my oat and honey Dutch oven artisan bread, and this is just going to be bread for us to enjoy throughout the rest of the week. I do have this recipe available on my blog at westmanacademyhomeschool.com if you are interested. So I'm going to be starting with my bread bowl dough recipe first. I'm mixing 2 tablespoons of active dry yeast with 1.5 cups of fairly hot water. You don't want it to be boiling water because the boiling water will kill the yeast, but if it's not warm or hot enough, then the yeast will not activate. I really have been loving these Danish bread whisks. You can get these on Amazon if you want. I will link them below. They're also great if you are a person who does not like to knead your dough. I'm also going to be adding 1/3 cup vegetable oil, 1/2 cup sugar. You can do 1/4 if you want, or even 2 tablespoons. But I don't find that the bread is overly sweet. It's just the perfect amount using 1/2 cup. I'm also going to be adding 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of salt, and between 4.5 to 5 cups of flour. If you want to use this bread recipe for sandwich loaf bread, it will make 2 loaves. I like to make sure that all of the wet ingredients are mixed in before I add the flour. I am going in with unbleached all-purpose flour for this recipe, but I do also like to use einkorn. If you do use einkorn or even gluten-free flour, you want to make sure you use a little bit more. The key to making this a no-knead bread is adding flour slowly and mixing it as you go. I love to hand knead dough, so you will see me hand kneading my dough, but you definitely don't have to. So for the dough, I used 4 1/4 cups, and then I put a roughly 1/4 to 1/2 cup on the surface that I'm going to work in as I'm kneading. As I'm kneading, I'm just slowly shaping it into a ball. This is going to be the shape that I'm going to place it back into our original bowl in and allow around 2 hours to rise. I like my dough to rise in the oven at 95 degrees Fahrenheit. If your dough tends to be a little too sticky, you can always sprinkle a little more flour on. It is okay if it is sticky as long as your fingers can be removed from the dough. So for my oat and honey bread, I'm going to be mixing 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. You can just do a packet. 1/4 cup of hot water. Remember, warm, hot, not boiling. 1 cup of milk that I've warmed in the microwave for 30 seconds. 5 tablespoons of honey. 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 cup of oats. 2 tablespoons of butter. And 3 cups of flour. I am actually going to be using einkorn flour for this recipe, so I'm going to be using about 3.5 to 4 cups. Reshaped my honey and oat bread, and I have placed it in a rice flour coated banneton basket. I'm going to place this back in the oven to rise, and what I'm going to do with my original bread recipe dough is I'm going to shape it into little bread bowls and place them on this cast iron sheet pan to rise. I love how fluffy and smooth this dough is. It's going to make beautiful bread baskets, and if you didn't want to make bread baskets, you can always just make 1 or 2. I would do 2 with this recipe, 2 loaves. So this dough is a touch sticky. You can always add flour. I like to just sprinkle some on the work surface and just work that in as I'm shaping the dough. So I'm essentially just shaping the dough into 4 miniature little loaves. I have never made bread bowls before, so this is going to be interesting. They're essentially just 4 ginormous rolls that I will carve out and put our soup in. It's currently 1:30, but I wanted to prep for tonight's supper since my kids are having their quiet time. I wanted to take advantage of these moments where I can cut potatoes and vegetables and clean them and not have to worry about little hands wanting to help. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love when my kids are able to help me in the kitchen, especially with baking and cooking. But since I am on the tail end of the sickness and I just kind of want to get the soup together, it is nice to have a few quiet moments where I can listen to worship music, I can pray, or I can just focus on enjoying the silence and taking every moment in for making this beautiful meal for my family. So I'm just going to be washing my vegetables. I'm going to be doing a 1.5 pound of variety potatoes. These are Dutch yellow, red, and blue potatoes. I'm going to be using my cast iron skillet that I just washed this morning to make my ground sausage. I'm going to get that fully cooked, and I'm going to pretty much put this soup together right now and then start simmering it probably an hour to an hour and a half before we are wanting to eat. I am spraying my vegetables with this veggie wash. It's for fruits and vegetables. I absolutely love it. It removes waxes, pesticides, and soil. It doesn't leave any scent or taste. It has kind of a sweet scent as it's being sprayed, but once you wash your vegetables and fruits with water, the scent doesn't last. For my prep right now, I'm just going to be doing celery and carrots. Once I have the soup simmering and it's warming and bubbling, I'm going to be adding in my seasonings and my fresh spices. I might also add a little bit of kale for health, try and sneak that in there. I'm going to be using 3 stalks of celery and 4 carrots. I'm going to give any scrap vegetables that I have to our chickens. They absolutely love getting scraps, especially vegetable scraps. I have my enamel Dutch oven here, and once I cut up all of my vegetables, I'm just going to place them in here and store them for the time being. I'm really excited to try these potatoes. They have the most beautiful color to them. We've never used blue Dutch potatoes before, so I'm excited to see how they taste, and I'm excited for it to add just such a great variety of color to the soup. I love making meals like this that are nourishing to my family, that are healthy, yet can have the hidden ingredients in them that your kids might not eat on their own, especially vegetables. I just love how you get so many different flavors with the seasoning and the broth, and it just adds warmth, especially on a very cold and snowy day. So my plan going forward is I'm going to finish dicing up these potatoes. Once I am ready to start the soup, I'm going to take butter, freshly diced onion, freshly minced garlic, and I'm going to just saute this first. Then I'm going to add in the beef broth. I don't have any homemade beef stock currently, so I'm just going to use some from the store. And then I'm just going to add my herbs and my spices and the sausage and just let it simmer for roughly an hour. I like to have all of the flavors blend in, let it have time to really let the vegetables absorb some of that seasoning. And so I'm just going to prepare currently by making my bread baskets or my bread bowls and chopping up all of my vegetables so that it saves me time at around 4 o'clock, which is in roughly 2 hours. For the soup, I am adding 1 carton of beef broth. I go ahead and add about
3 to 4 cups of chicken broth as well, just because I did use a large amount of vegetables. You will notice that I did transfer the vegetables from the Dutch oven into that white bowl because I realized I needed my Dutch oven to make the bread. So if you can see, my vegetables are a little bit higher than my liquid, and so I'm adding, I believe it is 2 cups of chicken stock or chicken broth. The amount of liquid is not super specific, whatever works in order to cover your vegetables. Then I just cooked the rest of my sausage. Here I'm trying to get the grease out, and I'm just transferring it to the soup. I'm going in with different seasonings. I add thyme, garlic salt, oregano, parsley, and then freshly ground pepper as well, and sprinkling in some regular salt. I like to use sea salt, but you can use whatever salt that you have. Taking a knife, I cut out a middle section to create the bowl. I like to use the inside parts of the bread to dunk into the soup. You can also use it for a baked French toast or anything where you just need broken up pieces, a bread pudding. And so I'm just clearing out the center of the bread, but I do not let that bread go to waste. And all I do is just scoop some of the soup out and place it inside the bowls. This was such a super easy, delicious, healthy meal. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all your support, and you can find the recipes to this meal on my blog at westmanacademyhomeschool.com. Again, my name is Kelsey, and I make videos on homeschool, homemaking, and creating a wholesome home.